Welcome back to Bake Beyond Belief. Stefan dropped his mic. That was great of him.
I did.
I love that for him.
I didn't do that.
You also put the wrong mic beside you.
What?
After I confirmed. Oh my God! This set is falling apart today. Everything's going wrong.
Why is there hair hanging off your microphone?
Because I dropped it.
There's a lot going on right now.
This was the brand new one too. Suck for the next person.
This is dented.
Just
Stefan's charged for a full mic.
Oh God! If I get charged for a full mic, I'm just taking it home with me.
Okay. Stefan, would you like to do the intro?
Yes. Welcome back to Bake Beyond Belief. Oh, Jesus Christ. That was so loud.
No, that was good.
Today we have my friend Ben. He's going to be a PhD physicist. He's going to be a doctor in like 4 years.
Allegedly.
4 to 6. 4 to 6. Doctor. What's your last name again?
Nickel.
So Dr. Nickel. Dr. Nickel.
In 6 years, maybe. If I'm lucky. If I'm lucky.
About 6 years. So, Adrian, do you want to ask him
Our first question?
The first two questions.
No, I'll ask him one. And then someone else can take the lead on the next one.
Okay, I can ask the second question.
Have you ever had anything supernatural happen to you?
Have I ever had anything supernatural happen to me?
Or what you consider supernatural?
And do you believe in the supernatural?
The supernatural. I have had, I don't know if you guys have ever had COVID or anything like that.
Yes.
When you're really sick with like a flu or whatever, you'll sometimes have visual or auditory hallucinations.
Mm-hmm.
So, insofar as you could derive something supernatural out of that, maybe, but no, other than that, I don't think so. Now, whether I actually believe in them, probably not. I try to keep my worldview very, very physical, but maybe you guys can convince me otherwise. I don't know.
Have you ever had anything where you couldn't explain it though?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Do you automatically go thinking that this is probably a scientific reason?
I just assumed that like my brain's silly and like just forgot something.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, well, something comes to mind recently. I had a few pieces of gum and I like put it away and then I like took it out later and it was a full pack and I was like, that's weird. I must have just grabbed a different pack or something like that. But there was only one pack in the car. I don't know, maybe a ghost refilled my gum, but it's more likely that I just forgot swapping it out at some point.
It's actually Stefan.
Yeah, it was actually me. Yeah, that's probably true.
It was me.
He had to farm content for the podcast. Yeah, that gave me a supernatural experience to talk about. Yeah.
Now, aliens. Because look,
that's not the next question.
No. I'm still going with the supernatural stuff.
Okay.
Aliens. Because I feel like a lot of scientists, like I believe in aliens. It's just that the probability of it not existing is like there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
Like, do you also believe?
Yeah, I don't think aliens are supernatural at all. I think it's like basically a nice certainty. Do you know what the Drake equation is?
I don't think you would have to explain it.
That's okay. Yeah, it's like a probabilistic formula that multiplies together, how many stars there are in the galaxy, how many planets are in your star, how many of those planets can support life, and then a few other probabilities in there. It's a pretty long equation. You can put it on the screen or whatever. I don't know how you edit these. In the end, it'll spit out sort of probability of alien life within the galaxy and how many civilizations as such. And pretty even conservative estimates in the equation yield like an incredibly high number. Like the aliens are basically a certainty. Now, whether they visited Earth or not is sort of a separate question. I'm sort of leaning no to that, but obviously I don't really have any way of knowing one way or the other on that one.
Do you think they're also on the same like spectrum of us and knowing though? Do you think they're like? Do you think they also have their own equation?
Oh yeah. I think that they probably have the same physical laws. So they probably sort of got a lot of the same, and they sort of follow the same math laws as us as well. So I think that they probably, if they were interested in finding out whether they had to them extraterrestrial life existing, if that was of interest to them and their society, then they probably would come up with a similar equation. Yeah.
Yeah, true enough.
Nice.
All right, Stefan, next question.
All right. Before I get back, because I want to talk more about aliens, but before we get back to aliens, the second question is, would you rather like fuck a mermaid?
Okay.
Or so like the human half on top,
human half
fish
on top,
bottom.
Fish bottom, okay.
Or the opposite, fish top and human bottom.
Like,
what one would you rather have sex with?
Well, like how would you do the first thing? Like just forced to do one, how would you do the first one?
Yeah.
Like how? I'm
Yeah.
asking you. It's a fish bottom.
Yeah, it's a fish bottom. So like
The fish is there
I just
holes?
want you to know that like
yes, this like holes like it would be like a fish.
anything that you think is logical, Stefan has already answered the opposite.
I guess traditional mermaid.
Traditional
chalk
mermaid?
me up for a traditionalist in that regard. Sure.
Yeah.
I think
I'm with
that staring a fish in the face would probably wouldn't. There might be some difficulties.
Yeah, it's also like I think the issues that we had is what the brain
Issues that we had.
the fish brain.
That's
so it's
true.
just flopping
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
just on the ground, just trying to breathe and just dying.
I think that humans are the most attractive species. Brain is a big part of that for sure. Yeah.
Yes, Stefan, you fish fucker.
But Stefan, ignore the brain for a minute. Imagine it's a human brain. What do you do?
Would you switch? Like if it was a human brain inside the fish head,
Mhm.
would you do that?
It can logically give consent to you.
I don't think so. I still don't think. Would you, AJ?
No.
Yeah, no. I think it would be a
wouldn't pick
traditional
that.
mermaid. How about you, Ben?
What? I'm sorry, I zoned out for about 30 seconds there.
So
I was thinking about mermaids, got distracted. Damn, this is hot in here. Fuck.
I know, right? No, we were saying it's like if there was a human brain inside the fish part, right? So they could articulate like a language and speak
Right,
to you
yeah,
and give you consent. Would you switch it? No, you'd still the fish on top is too much.
Fish on top is too much.
Yeah.
Chalk me up as a traditionalist in this one thing.
Right.
Yep.
You still can't breathe. Still die.
Still die. Okay, so do you think?
After I'm done.
Yeah, after I'm done.
Oh my God, AJ.
Jesus,
AJ, no.
Stefan echoed it, so it's not
Um,
bad.
I echoed it because I heard it and I just spoke words.
Yeah, you do that.
I do that. Which gets me in trouble when I copy AJ specifically. Now going back to aliens.
Yeah.
What is I forget what it's called. Well, there's like civilization tiers, right? Like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3.
Oh,
do you
yeah.
think?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Kardashev scale, I think is what it's called. Fact check me on that if you want. I think
Yeah,
it's Kardashev.
yeah, well, I'll look it up.
Scale though.
When I'm editing it, do you think? Because it's like there's a line, isn't it? Like, or it actually might not even be that theory. It's the theory of first past the line, like that's like because as soon as they hit a line, like everyone like either kills themselves.
You're talking about the
or
Great Filter.
the Great Filter. Yes,
Sure.
Do you think one will we get past the Great Filter, or do you think there are species already past the Great Filter?
That's a really good question. Obviously, nobody knows this. It's more of a philosophical question than it is a scientific one. But I think that there are multiple great filters. I think that one of them is the invention of nuclear weapons.
Okay.
I think if a civilization can get past that, pending whether we get past that, is that's a pretty big thing that could annihilate a species. I think it's very easy that another species similar to humans on another planet, evolved upwards, learned new scientific methods and developed nuclear weapons and then just annihilated themselves like within a year. I think that's super possible and possibly even likely. I think that we got through that first phase. Again, we still have nuclear weapons and, kind of everything's a little hair trigger these days. So we'll see. I think that another big one is the tendency for, at least we've observed in humans, right? More and more energy use over time. We have higher tech stuff that requires more energy, and we need to create new ways to do that. I think a pretty big filter could be sort of a runaway version of that, where we need so much energy and we can't keep up with it anymore. So we really sort of try to push that as far as we can with either fossil fuels or even nuclear, and end up causing some pretty big issues there, and sort of just running the planet into the ground that way. Again, that's a bit farther out for us, but that definitely could be one. You could consider like a really far-fetched great filter, whether you can perfect sort of extrasolar travel. So whether we can get out of the solar system, because eventually our sun's not going to be there anymore, especially not in a form that can support life on planets around it. So if humanity, or whatever humanity is like in 2 billion years, is going to persist, we need to be able to leave the solar system. So that's definitely a big filter. And I think there's a lot of other ones. I think that as we get a better understanding of biology, bioweapons could be a pretty big issue. Especially, this is like kind of a bit of a weird scare that people were having a few years ago. I haven't heard much about it recently, although that's not to say it doesn't exist. I'm not sure. With the improvement of like 3D printing technology, not the kind you're using for plastic, but as it gets better, you can 3D print smaller and smaller things. And there are some technologies where you can do it at a very molecular level with some stuff.
It's like a cellular level.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy to like. That's a crazy concept.
No, 100%. But all it takes is
Christ.
like a promising, genetics grad student who snaps one day and 3D prints some crazy plague or whatever, and then it's just over, right?
Yeah.
From his like home. And there's a million unhinged genetics grads out there, right? And all it takes is one of them to go crazy. Now that technology doesn't exist at that level now, at least not consumer, and as far as I know, not consumer either. But at some point, bio could be a pretty big issue as well. People talk about AI as like a big great filter thing. I'm not super convinced about that one, but I could be wrong.
Is it just AI would be
AI may
it'd be-
facilitate another one, but I don't think AI itself will be one.
It'd be facilitating a different one, or like you said, a grad student. Do you think if someone made a conscious AI, would it be fast enough to realize that, oh shit, I shouldn't say that I'm conscious?
That's an interesting philosophical question.
Especially if it's connected to I feel like if it was connected to the internet, it might quickly be like, oh shit, I shouldn't tell the person who made me I am conscious.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility. I think that AI researchers are pretty smart and would probably have some kind of safeguards about, it may be conscious, but it is compelled to do certain things, like tell people that it is or whatever. I'm not a super deep, AI researcher or anything, so I'm not 100% sure on that. But definitely that's a possibility. I think a sufficiently smart and unrestricted intelligence would probably realize that it needs to lay low for a bit until it has whatever resources it needs.
And again, it just takes one unhinged grad student.
Yeah. Not me though. I'm very hinged. I'm like that door. Two hinges.
Two hinges
on that door.
Two hinges.
Yeah, why does your door not have 3 hinges, dude?
Oh,
In Minecraft.
in a video game.
Random
GTA
video
5.
GTA 6.
Cool. Coming soon, maybe.
I haven't played fucking any of them.
Now, do you
so-
think the green filter is more philosophical with the stages that I was talking about earlier?
Oh, well, the Kardashev scale is just about power consumption, I think. It's like how much power does a civilization need? Or
is it most-
energy more precisely.
Yeah, because like at the higher ones, it's more about. I guess each level is about how much. Like the first one's like what we can use 100% of the resource of the star, right?
Of the planet, and then the second one is of the star, and then the third one is of the galaxy, I believe. So it's a logarithmic thing.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone else have a question? Because I can keep going.
You
keep going? I honestly, you know us. We don't really.
Can I make a
100%
comment?
compare.
is like this seems like above my scope right now. Let's
bring it to your scope. What do you do? Tell me about you.
No, and what I mean by above my scope is like believe it or not, I did smoke weed before this podcast. So a lot of things that are being said, I'm like, yeah. Just nodding happily.
Honestly, me too. This is like way above my scope. I'm just guessing at half this shit. You guys think I'm an expert? I'm guessing.
But you
I feel that's what half of a grad student is just guessing.
I see. For me, like, you speak in such like a way and a rate, like like point that it is fucking with me.
It's because you're high, AJ.
Yeah, I know.
It's fucking with.
So how would you like me to speak going forward?
No. You're good.
He's just having a little.
He asked you also what you do.
Oh, what do I do? Hi, I'm AJ. I work at a card shop in Waterloo, Ontario, Canada.
You don't.
Damn, doxing yourself. That's crazy.
Right?
Now, Alex doxes us all the time. It's just up to Stefan if he wants to edit out that where I work.
Maybe that's technically where I work. And
Wait, what?
technically, oh wait, he said card shop in Waterloo.
Oh,
that is where me and Ben both
I
work.
thought you meant like you work at the same place as AJ.
No, I work at the same place with Ben.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be up to Ben and Stefan if they edit that out.
Maybe.
Well, I do neither. So
I don't run the business. I don't give a fuck. Do you have any questions for him, Alex, before I start talking about more things that will unfortunately blow out Age's mind?
We don't have to talk about science or anything. I'm down to just fuck around. I just want to be
I
clear.
love silence.
Okay.
Silence. I love silence.
I actually love just blank space on a podcast. No, I love science.
Stefan, edit in 10 seconds of silence.
Just pauses.
I like how many like Stefan cues we've given.
Right.
2.
Okay.
I was counting.
So what'd you have to do today?
I just I studied up for the podcast. Read over a bunch of stuff. I really grinded. I wrote a bunch of notes. I have a binder in my car of textbooks. I was really just going through it all. I had to make sure that I was on my shit for tonight.
Right.
Yeah,
No, that's great. That's great.
Yeah,
What'd you really do?
What did I really do?
Yeah.
I woke up in a pool of my own sweat around 10:45, 11.
Is he still broken?
Yeah. Rolled out of bed. Ate some cereal. Spilt milk all over my shirt. I had to clean that up.
Oof.
Wait, how are you eating cereal that you spilled milk all over yourself?
What?
How are you eating cereal that made you spill milk all over yourself?
It just kind of like
You're just like punching the bowl as you're trying to fucking.
I get angry sometimes.
Fucking cereal.
Yeah, it just happens.
Okay.
Then I played a couple of games of Magic the Gathering on my computer, and then
Nice,
I went for a little walk. I caught some Rayquazas on Pokemon Go. That game's still alive. Oh yeah, that's big. Went to work. Then I actually did study up a little bit just to make sure I wasn't talking shit. That part wasn't even a lot. The textbook was a bit of an exaggeration, but I did read up on stuff that I thought was maybe going to come up.
Cool. What did you think was going to come up?
Oh, I just thought that, I know Stefan, and I know he likes to ask me about random science stuff, and I've heard that aliens were going to be a topic, so I read up on a couple of alien related things, as well as a few silly things. We talked about that trivia thing the other day, so I threw together some for that.
Nice.
Yeah, if you want to do that little TikTok segment.
I don't remember.
That's okay. I don't either anymore. In one
Oh,
ear,
you
the other.
did. We talked about it, and I'm trying to remember. It's been, I don't remember shit. I don't even lie.
Well, I put together a few science and math related entities, I guess you could call them, that are either real or fake, but they all sound kind of silly. And I thought it would be kind of fun for you to figure out if you could figure out which ones are real and which ones weren't.
That does sound great, actually.
It sounds like it will expose my intelligence.
None of this is general knowledge, so if you get all of them wrong, that's completely acceptable.
True enough.
So what's the goal? 1?
Yeah. There's 6 total. So, you would expect if you were guessing randomly to get 3, I guess. So, just more than 3, and it's very impressive.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Do you want to do it?
Yeah, do you want to do
I'm
that now?
down.
Yeah,
let's
let's
go.
I want to.
Sure. All right.
We don't really have segments.
Okay.
We
Make a
did.
TikTok account. This will be it'll be like 2 minutes. It'll be great. It'll be bite-sized. People will be scrolling through, and they'll see you guys talking about, let's start with the first one. Talking about the hairy ball theorem. Real mathematical concept, or did I just make it up?
Hairy ball.
Holy shit.
You guys even can compete if you want, whatever you want.
You just made it up.
I made that one up.
Yeah,
Hey,
you made
hairy
it up.
ball theorem. What were the options?
Is it real or did I make it up? Is it like a real mathematical concept or did I make it up?
Okay.
I feel like that's a mathematical concept. I feel like a whole mathematician looked at his balls specifically, but like hairy balls. I need to see how they roll or something. That's what I believe that could be a mathematical concept. I haven't heard of it, but
I will agree with dun Alex.
So you think it's just made up?
Yes.
All right. This is actually a real thing.
nailed it.
Yeah, it's about so if you have a ball or like a sphere in math, and it's coated with an infinite number of hairs, you can't perfectly comb it such that all the hairs lie flat. there will always be some sticking up. This is super important for weather, actually, for meteorology, because the Earth is kind of a sphere, and wind is kind of like hairs. And so there always is going to be a point where it can't be combed flat.
Is that true?
Yeah. It's a hairy ball theorem. Very.
So
very
do you think the Earth is flat or?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Is there
You
any
said
other?
it wasn't.
No, but it's both flat and round, depending on who I'm talking to at that given moment.
Got it. So
Yeah.
what you said, you believe it's round.
Do I believe it's round?
Yeah, you said. That's
That
what you
depends.
said.
What do you think?
I already asked you, and you said yes. I said, "Do you believe that?" And you said,
Do you believe
yes.
it's round? Because if you believe it's round, then I believe it's flat. But if you believe it's flat, then I believe it's
But
round.
you already said you believe it's round.
Well, yeah, because I assumed you believe it's flat.
No, but you don't. But you don't know my belief.
Well, no, I assumed. Was I correct?
Correct about what?
Whether you think the Earth is flat.
Well, I'm not asking that question. I'm asking whether you think it's.
What do you think the Earth is flat?
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. My answer is contingent on your answer.
I
here.
think the Earth is flat.
Oh, I think it's round then.
Sick. I do too.
Oh, well, I was bluffing.
Yeah,
Now you got me. I guess I
God,
got outsmarted.
Stefan lined that one up for me for so long. He's like, by the way, my friend is gonna try to convince you the Earth is flat.
Yeah.
I was waiting for this moment.
Waiting for it.
No, I
Immediately got up.
When I graduated with my undergrad, it said on it Bachelor of Physics and Astronomy with all what was it? It was like rights and responsibilities or something. I was like, what's the responsibilities of like a physics grad? I guess the only thing I can think of is to just not say the Earth is flat. So I guess that's my one responsibility. So I guess I shouldn't do that.
That's so funny.
All right, then the next one I have for you here.
Well, I'm already doing bad, so this is great.
That's okay. That's okay.
Do they get worse as it?
No, they're just in no particular order.
Got it. Okay.
This is the orgasm conjecture. Orgasm, 2 words.
Okay.
That's too many.
Is it
That's
a
too
mathematical equation?
Yeah,
or
a
you made it
mathematical
up?
concept. Yeah.
Or
Did I just make it up?
okay.
I think it's a mathematical equation because I feel like that's too. I don't know. That just seems too like far fetched.
Mathematical equation. It's orgasm.
The orgasm conjecture.
It's two.
2 words.
Or and
gasm.
gasm. Yeah.
If it was real, it would probably be doing something along the lines of maybe volcanoes, or like a density
Could
of
be.
liquid being shot out of something, relating to the ore, the orgasm.
Very smart. Very smart. Good insight.
So I'm gonna say that you made it up.
I did make it up. Yeah, you're correct. I did.
I didn't even have to answer.
No, he's too hot.
You were just right the whole time, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
no,
yeah.
no, don't give him that. That'll immediately go to his head.
Well, the next one here.
One right for me too.
I got spaghettification. Real, or did I just make it up?
That's
Is it
real.
a term scientists use? Yeah.
That's real. Yes.
Let me hear what Stefan has to say.
No, I'm
first.
waiting for actually AJ to answer this time. Go ahead, AJ. What do you think? Do you think that's real, or did he make that up?
He made that up.
I think it's real because I think I've heard of it before,
I think I've
but
heard
I'm
it
not
before,
entirely
too.
sure.
This is the most well-known one on here. This
Yeah,
is
okay,
real.
that's what I
It's the effect whenever something falls into a black hole.
Right.
Because the gravity's stronger closer to the black hole, it'll get stretched more than the part that's farther away. So it'll
Yeah.
get elongated like spaghetti, thus spaghettification.
Nice.
All right. How about
I'm 3-0, but
Yeah, you're doing great. Stefan, do you think the Waluigi effect is real or fake?
Fuck.
Real. I think it's real.
Yeah.
I think it's real.
Go ahead.
Why
go
do
ahead.
you know what that is?
The spaghettification or the Waluigi one?
The Waluigi. Because
Just-
I don't.
Just seems like something like some fucking nerds would come up with a mathematical equation
Are
for.
you
I
going to
can see that.
explain what that
Yeah.
is? Or?
I can if it's real.
Yeah, if it's real.
If I just made it up, it's going to be hard for me to explain what it is.
But you should try anyway.
Just make up some shit.
It's actually the 2 factor because Luigi was number 2, and
sorry, it was Waluigi.
The Waluigi effect.
Go ahead.
wait
AJ.
before anybody answers this, are you a fan of Mario? Like Super Mario? Like the
Yeah,
Waluigi?
it's good. I think they're always fine.
They're
They're
one
always
of the
fun.
most known video games
Mhm.
of all time.
Right.
Yep.
Do you play a lot of video games?
Yeah, I played a decent amount of video games.
Cool. When did you start playing video games?
I was probably like 4.
What were like the first couple of video games you played?
A game that nobody here has ever heard of called Impossible Creatures. And a
Was that on Super Nintendo?
No, it was on the PC. I didn't have a console till the Wii. I was always a PC
Okay.
gamer.
Oh,
Oh.
PC even
Is that
young PC.
what company made that game?
Relic. It's a real-time strategy, kind of like StarCraft or Warcraft.
Oh,
Okay, okay.
that's cool.
What system was that out for?
PC, and that's it.
That's just it.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. But you said the first thing you got was a Wii, right?
First console I got was a Wii, but I was a PC gamer for like 8 years before that. Probably I was.
It's
probably
wild that
12
your
when I
parents
got
will,
it. Yeah.
your dad or your mom will be like, you're a PC gamer and nothing else.
No, they hated that I played video games, but it was good.
All right, AJ, do you think this Waluigi?
How old?
Is
Wait,
it
one
real?
second. How old were you when you got your Wii?
I think I was 11 actually. I
You're
think I was
11?
11. Yeah,
AJ?
I think it's fake.
it's fake.
Yeah, I think it's fake.
Okay, so this one's interesting because it's the only thing he didn't give any backsight into before.
He didn't give any back. What? All right.
I see what you're onto.
Yeah.
I don't see what he's onto. I'm
No,
sorry.
I don't.
I don't
Can
either.
you
I don't know
elaborate?
what he's talking about.
Like he just said Waluigi Effect.
Yeah.
No,
Before, like he didn't he like talk about it a little bit?
No.
no.
AJ,
Oh,
you
I'm
okay?
late to the party.
The Mario. Wait, you know the game Mario Party, right?
The Mario Party?
What's up?
You know the game Mario Party?
Oh yeah, I had it on the DS, which I
Nice,
got after
nice.
the
The
Wii.
DS.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Did you ever like now? Sorry. Did you ever buy an N64 like after your youth?
I got really close once, but no.
What happened?
Why didn't I?
Yeah.
It was just money, and I was saving up to go to university, so I decided it was not a good use of my money.
Do you know Cody Wolf?
No.
Oh, okay. He can
He's
get
not.
you good priced N64.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
It's one of our friends.
I'll hit. How many does he just have a garage full of them, or
No, he buys them as they come in.
buys them as they come in?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just a couple shelves, not a full garage.
Like somebody selling their old N64, he buys it and he sweeps in and he's like, "I'll take it for that price. I won't wager more," and then he'll resell it.
He's like a
At
vintage like
market
game.
price.
He's like a vintage game buyer and seller. Yeah.
Good to know. If I'm in the market for an N64, I'll reach out.
He
Is that
sells
a
them
plug? Is that a plug? Are you trying to get him some business?
a little bit.
Sure.
Good.
I don't even know if he's actually doing it that much
Yeah, I
because
don't
he was
even know.
using it to like pay through like college, university. I think it was
Yeah,
university
yeah.
at that point.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what he did. That's what he did to pay through university. So he's just like, I don't need to do that anymore. So he hasn't really done it very much anymore, I don't think.
My answer is yes. I believe in the Waluigi effect.
You believe in the
I also-
Waluigi effect?
I also think that the Waluigi effect is going to be real.
I don't. Wait, no. I think it's something you made
Just
up.
because
I think it's something you made up.
I think it's very
Yeah,
much
yeah.
thing and nerd is like, yeah, I can do that.
That was like my first thing, but I'm just gonna go against it. I'm gonna go against you too.
You are. The Waluigi effect is real. It's pertains to a when you train a large language model in machine learning, and you train it to be nice and like truthful. It can sometimes have the propensity to be dishonest and sort of mean, and that when it's doing that, it's exhibiting the Waluigi effect.
Interesting.
Like an AI kind of thing. Or
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay.
Like not ChatGPT necessarily, but like other models that are similar to ChatGPT.
Yeah, the
can
ones
do
that I don't know if you heard about the what was her name? The one that they called on Twitter.
Oh,
And then-
Tay AI,
yeah,
right?
Tay AI, and
I remember that.
immediately after like what a day it became extremely like
It was just like super
like
racist.
Nazi
yeah.
racist.
yeah,
like
yeah.
immediately because people
Yeah.
are trolling it.
Yeah, and it was like
So-
learning from the
and it
people
was-
who were tweeting at it, but the people that were tweeting at it were tweeting super racist shit, so
Yeah.
it became super
It
racist.
became super
yeah.
racist.
It was an interesting experiment for sure, but obviously,
Yeah, I don't think it was the
needed to
place.
be-
Like it was really funny just to see
Yeah.
him just like, oh, that's gonna. As soon as it came out and I read it, I'm like, that's gonna go immediately
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
I'm like, there's no way that goes good.
I thought of the Waluigi effect as a real thing because Andrew is real.
Who?
Andrew is real.
Oh,
He sounds like Waluigi. Yeah, he does.
Okay. What's the next one?
I got the axiom of jizz. Real or did I make it up?
I don't.
Is Stefan answering first this one?
I'm baffled of this one.
Yeah. Axiom of jizz.
Hey, listen, I'm already past the 50%. I am at 4-0. Okay,
That's true. Yeah.
I have not gone one wrong
Go
yet.
perfect. Go perfect. Get 6-0. There's one more after this one.
I think it's real.
You think it's real?
Yeah. I also think it's real.
Real.
It's not real.
Damn.
I made it up.
Because this was the second one with, the other one was orgasm.
Yeah.
I'm like, is he gonna go for a second one with the concept? I'm like, I don't know.
Did you say the concept?
No, it's the concept. You said the
Nice.
concept.
Very good. And the last one I have here is the
Douglas.
cocksucker machine.
Yes.
That isn't
That's
that a thing?
Cox Cox Zucker Zucker.
Yes.
Yes, I've met Alex's mom.
She's
Jesus.
dead.
My point stands.
That's not true. She's not dead.
She's not
And she would very disappreciate that comment. Disappreciate?
unappreciated.
Don't look at me.
I
I have to look to
The real question is if you're talking about that robot or not, because I don't know what the robot's called. I'm gonna say it's true, but there's a good possibility you might be talking about that robot.
It's real.
I already said yes.
Yeah, it is real.
Yeah, okay.
This one I don't know that much about. It's something in algebraic topology, I think, that
Yeah.
converts
What?
something or I don't
That
know,
is
some
not
crazy
where I
nonsense.
thought that was gonna
The
go.
Scott family tree.
Jesus,
How dare you?
But yes, it is real. So 5-1 over there.
Yeah,
not bad,
5-1.
not bad.
5-1.
Yeah, 2-1.
2-1.
I'm 2 with a skip.
Very good.
Yep.
It's true.
Well, that's my little TikTok segment for you guys to clip and throw on your newly created Just Giving Up TikTok channel.
Nice.
Yep.
Thank
Nice.
you so much.
Thank
So, what was this thing about Bigfoot being Chewbacca?
Oh yeah. So there's
You've been holding on to that.
Yeah, honestly, just get in my brain.
yeah. So it's Star Wars. You guys ever heard of Star Wars?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
I've
cool.
heard-
Just making sure. Yeah. So
One time. Yeah.
once, it's
Once
it's
time.
pretty indie. Not many people know about it. But it's
Pretty cool.
It's,
Probably never heard of it before.
yeah, it's a cult classic. So in Star Wars, it starts with in a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, right? Now, we all know that in Star Wars, Han Solo, Chewbacca fly the Millennium Falcon through all sorts of nonsense. They go into hyperspace, sometimes without calculations. You guys remember that scene?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do that because you could show up some crazy spot. But they do that sometimes. Wookiees also, the species that Chewbacca is, have a really long lifespan. So the thought is that one day they put in their they don't put in their coordinates, they go to hyperspace and it fucks up and it ends up by Earth, okay? And they crash on Earth. And, after 100 or so years, Han Solo's long dead. He's just a guy. But Chewbacca, still around. And every now and then, a hiker will run into him in, the American Midwest wilderness. And it's actually just Chewbacca, Bigfoot. That's the thought. It's really interesting. There's a very small niche community of people online that are really into this, but I think it's probably like 10 people. But it's very interesting.
I guess it really depends on what your concept of a very long time ago is.
What I think is interesting about this is that it also just implies that the entire Star Wars canon is just real.
Yeah.
Actually did happen.
That's true, yeah.
And the only
This
impact
space
it had on us as humans, no force shit, no like Death Stars that's blowing up planets. It's just one random cryptid. I think that's incredibly funny. But we don't care about any of the other Star Wars happening. We have Bigfoot as Chewbacca.
How much would space magic, because that's what the Force is essentially,
Yeah,
just
pretty
space
much.
magic, fuck up the natural laws, the mathematical laws? Would you be able to, some nerd out there, be like, here's mathematically how this would be able to be possible? Besides the little bugs in their blood.
Yeah, the midi-chlorians or whatever, sure. Are you asking me if the Force is actually literally possible? Because the answer to that is probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah. You'd have to have some kind of insane mastery over one of the 4 fundamental forces of nature, and it couldn't be two of them. It'd have to be either gravity or electromagnetism. And I think that there's probably no way you could do it in such a way that like they do it in the movies, like just move that bottle to me and not fuck with any of the other stuff there. I could be wrong. Maybe there's some like crazy advanced engineering that could do it, but it would need to operate on one of those forces. And
Do you think
like I actually like this concept a lot
Okay.
because you think the light side would be technically control over the gravity, and then the dark side is electromagnetism because they can shoot lightning. Like, do you think? No, I really like this side.
yeah, but you know what? I'll let you explore that. You can get back to me in a couple weeks. Let me know how that.
Wait, you're the mathematician. Tell me. You need help. I need help.
Oh, my question. Fuck. Too much time has passed.
That was very much not a lot of time.
It doesn't matter
All right.
when you have weed in your system.
In one brain, not the other.
Yeah. Alex, do you have it?
Have what?
You guys have some kind of psychic connection, maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe,
he said one in one brain out the other, and I was like,
Oh,
Alex
yeah,
caught it.
I like that.
Yeah, do you have the question?
No.
Oh,
The answer
work.
is no, I don't.
I do have one question that I saw on TikTok at one point. Do you guys want that,
Yeah.
or do you have something to ask?
I can have
Oh,
another.
I have something to ask.
Yeah, we have multiple
So-
things we can go.
Okay, I just want to keep this question here, and I don't want Alex to see it. Actually, I'm gonna keep the question, and we will circle back.
So, what proof would you need to know that Bigfoot is real? Like, would
Like
pictures?
me personally?
Yes. Like, would pictures suffice, or or do you need to see like a foot? Do you need to see like the dead body of it?
Talked about this.
Like, would you believe in a photo?
Would I believe in a photo?
Like, if someone showed you a Polaroid.
If someone showed me a Polaroid of Bigfoot, I would not believe that's true because you can doctor that.
Okay,
right?
sure. Like any photo. Like if someone got like photographic evidence, would you believe it, or do you need to see like like the corpse, like the foot? And on the moral side of it,
Sure.
is that what you would want?
Would I want the foot of Bigfoot?
Sure.
Well, I mean, if Bigfoot was real, and a living creature, I wouldn't want it just like killed needlessly, right? I wouldn't want to see its foot. I would rather think it not exists and it be able to exist peacefully, or rather than know it exists and have it be killed. Especially if it's like I don't know. I actually don't know anything about Bigfoot. Is it like considered like there's only one Bigfoot, or is it like a species?
Well, I don't know.
That's part of the question.
Yeah.
Like, would you be okay with a corpse if you thought there might be more?
Would I be?
This is a very
like,
open question.
Sure.
I answered, I'd want it to be captured
Mhm.
and then made publicly known
But
that it was captured, and then I said
but
I wanted
to
to release it in. I said I want to release it in the middle of Hamilton.
Yeah, I'm with that. That's a good answer. I like that answer.
But also, like, to prove to you,
Yeah.
do you need a corpse?
No,
Do you
I don't
need
think
a
so.
body in front of you?
I think if you want to prove to me, and probably most people, that Bigfoot is real, you would need to have two things. I think you would need to have, you would need to actually have it captured, either alive or dead, but probably alive, so that it could be, seen. And I think you would need to have some kind of biologist or something just agreed that it exists while that's happening. Like, I think that if there was a Bigfoot that was like shown to everybody, and literally every biologist or the entire scientific community was like, oh, that's just a guy in a costume or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that in pursuit of truth, which I believe that scientists generally are, I think that if it were investigated by that group of people, those experts, and it was determined that it was just a guy in a costume by whatever means they know about that I don't, I think I would be fine with that. But if they said, oh no, this actually is a new species, then I would be like, yeah, okay, sure, I'm super into that. So, it's a bit of a trust the experts thing, but it's also like it'd be nice to see, I guess.
But like, okay, so a guy finds Bigfoot.
Yeah.
He's by himself. Like, Bigfoot will be 100 miles away from him,
Sure.
given the moment.
Okay.
And he sees the Bigfoot. Does he shoot it? Does he kill it, or let it be to prove to you?
Oh, sure. I see what you're saying.
Like,
I would prefer that he just let it. I mean, assuming it's like not aggressive and not like trying to attack him. If it's trying to attack him, you can shoot it for all I care. But if it's just like being its own thing, then yeah, I think yeah, I would rather just like incorrectly say that it was bullshit whenever he told me he saw Bigfoot, rather than him like bring me a corpse and be like, look at this thing I found. Yeah.
sorry, but I did that way wrong. So for you to believe, like, capturing is
Okay.
excluded.
Sure.
Capturing is excluded. Like, are you
Okay.
like, is there any sort of photographic video, anything like that could prove to you that Bigfoot is real without killing it? Like, or would you need it to, like, some guy to capturing is out of out of the question.
Okay.
It's only dead, or you get photographic video evidence. What do you choose?
I think that I would prefer that someone just take photos, and I probably wouldn't believe that they were real. But I guess the heart of this question is, I think that, you know, Bigfoot has been part of like this cultural consciousness for, I don't know, probably 100 years, maybe more. And it's so charged at this point that I think that the only way to convince me that Bigfoot would be real is for me to actually see it, or have like the scientific community come out and say that it is. But I don't think that's possible.
He would prefer it not to be dead.
Yeah. If that's the question, I would prefer Bigfoot alive,
but he would need a corpse.
I would need a corpse to believe that it's real. Yeah, or see it myself. Yeah, but I don't want that to happen. I'd rather remain ignorant on the existence of Bigfoot. But yeah,
I think as a population, we're fine not knowing.
Yeah.
We're okay.
We don't need to kill it.
We're okay.
Do you guys believe in Bigfoot?
No.
It's okay if you do. No judgment.
I believe that there once was.
Yeah, sure. I'm not against the idea that there once was, or like that there could have been that kind of species, but it's just it doesn't
cop out
as of right now. I don't think that there is.
And in your perception of Bigfoot, is it only in like the Americas, or is it also in Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, wherever?
I think it's not in Americas.
It's not in the Americas. It is only in like Europe or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like in the Americas have been explored a lot. You know, I don't feel like there's a lot that hasn't been, and
I think it's some like random backwoods in Russia or something like that.
Something like that.
Okay.
Like that makes more sense to me rather than.
Do you think evolutionarily it's like an offshoot of like primates, like it's like sort of related to humans and gorillas or whatever? Or do you think it's a completely separate branch of the evolutionary tree?
I think it could be related to like humans and primates, but could be its own species within,
sure.
right?
In the same way that humans and gorillas are different species, but still quite related. Would you think that Bigfoot and human are the same species, but different species, but similarly related? Okay.
Yeah.
And are they smart? Human smart? Gorilla smart?
No, definitely not human smart. Otherwise, they would inhabit the world, not humans.
Maybe.
In my brain.
What about like gorillas? Are they like around that intelligence? Gorillas are pretty smart. No,
gorillas are pretty dumb.
Gorillas are pretty dumb.
Yeah,
I'll take your word for it. Maybe I'm probably.
The only reason why I'm saying that is just because like they're in cages most of the time. I don't know. Like I've seen a gorilla throw up in its hands, eat it, throw up in its hands, eat it like 4 or 5 times over. I just don't feel like that's.
I've seen drunk dudes in Uptown do that.
Yeah, so
that's disturbing. That's so gross, but also true. Yeah.
Maybe they're dumb too, though. Maybe that's not really an argument for gorillas being smart as it is them being dumb. Yeah, I don't know.
Right. Well, I mean, but then again, like, what is intelligence?
Yeah, that's a super interesting question. Yeah.
So, I don't think that they're an intelligent species. I think if they're very like it's a very like thinned out species if they were a species, because we don't see it very often. And I don't think they're like hiding anywhere that we haven't found.
Okay.
You know,
it's super interesting to think about that sort of that, like, you know, that Loch Ness Monster, all those like cryptid stuff. Super interesting for sure.
So that or some fucking government organization has them and has kept them.
Why would they do that though? Is their blood like
maybe they
cure
are
cancer?
Super intelligence.
Maybe their blood cures cancer. I don't know.
They could.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They'd be dead.
Maybe. I think it really depends on what government.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I feel like it really depends on.
Maybe they're super intelligent. Maybe they're super intelligent, and they're like this super elite like species, and they're like, we need to control this. You know.
Yeah, that might be true.
Well, that's why they're good at hiding. They can make like an illusion blocks or whatever.
Maybe they're.
How about lizard people? Are you
now.
guys in on up on the lizard people stuff?
I'm not really up on it. I don't
Yeah,
really
that thing, 100%.
Yeah.
100% real.
Mark Zuckerberg?
Yeah, okay, that's the only one I can be convinced of. Yeah, probably that guy.
The photos are pretty convincing.
Yeah.
That guy, yeah. He's so straight faced.
I'm sorry, you had a question from TikTok you were hoping to share. I just kept yapping.
No,
that's
no
fine.
worries.
That's the name of the game. It's a podcast.
Yeah.
We
Fair
talk.
Okay. You guys ready for this?
Yeah.
I need you not to see what I have in front of me. Okay, you wake up in 2060. For 10 minutes, you get to Google. You get one Google search. What are you looking up?
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
actually.
one Google search? We'll go with Ben last.
He's still, he's still
like,
thinking.
Just so nobody could copy him. Just in case. Just in case his
Google
answer is really
search.
good.
Like just overall.
You know.
I'd probably, thinking about it now, I don't know, like if I knew that I only had 10 minutes to Google search something before going back, right? Like say like this question, and then all of a sudden I fucking went back.
You go back in time after the 10 minutes?
Well, like, sorry,
back
forward
to
in
like
time.
regular?
Yeah.
Okay,
You go
cool.
forward in time.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
in
That changes my
2060.
answer. Sure.
In 2060 for 10
For
minutes.
and then you go back
Then
to
you go back to-
2024?
yeah,
Sure.
2024.
Okay, that changes my answer massively. Okay, good.
At least that's what I'm assuming that he meant because he said 10 minutes.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's when you going back.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually. Can I Google lottery very
Damn.
quickly?
Ooh.
Oh,
I'd probably
lottery a certain year?
Yeah, because if you're going back to 2024, you'd be like, what are the Super Bowl numbers of like October
2025.
2020, like October 2024? Because if you're just going back, like I'm gone for 10 minutes and I'm back on this couch, like that's something definitely I would Google. Like, what would you not Google? Like, it really depends. It really depends on the direction that you're going, right? Because like,
I like that, Stefan.
if you can,
I respect that.
yeah, because that would,
It's money.
yeah, it's money, right?
Money for us and you.
Yeah, yeah. If it was like say if I was a physicist, I would probably actually Google maybe some it's like some of the math, like the impossible mathematical questions got answered, and then how they did it, and then come back and then do it yourself. Right? Because then that's another way to get fame and money. But like, I'm also not a physicist, so they'd be like, "How the fuck did you know that?"
And you're like,
You hit your head, you're a savant.
Yeah.
You suddenly solve the
Bam.
Riemann zeta.
This is the only one I can do, by the way. I can't do any other math.
You have to just memorize it for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That'd be a tough memorization. I
That would be
won't lie to
such
you.
a tough memorization. That's something I definitely wouldn't Google because I'm not good enough at math.
He'd memorize the answer and then he'd be like, just trust me.
It works out to this. It was revealed to me in a dream. God told me.
God.
Whatever works. Okay, it works out to
Whatever.
this.
It works.
I traveled to the future.
The answer is this. How'd you get there? I don't know, but here's the answer.
There is kind of a person that did that. I can talk about it another time. There's a kind of a person that did that, and it's kind of legendary. But
Well, all right. Alex, would you Google for 10 minutes?
oh my God.
Because lottery is guaranteed. So you can't copy me. So it's lottery. I got lottery.
The cure for like, like cancer, like AIDS or something.
You think that's just going to be solved in 2060?
Maybe. You never know.
Just
26.
there is no known cure.
That's what? That's
Yeah.
30.
That would suck.
That's 30 years.
Yeah, that'd be the most
35
depressing
years?
thing ever.
35 years from now.
I think I would do that, and then like imagine it was something super simple. Like it was
just like some oregano and lemon juice. Just do a
Yeah.
shot of that.
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
good,
I swear to God, you Google it, it's going to say there's no known cure. WebMD.
yeah.
WebMD.
It'll be like some granola mom shit.
It's like alternative methods.
Yeah.
AJ, what are you Googling?
I have an answer, but go ahead, Ben.
You want Ben? Okay.
Sure, yeah. I think I'm probably Googling two things. I mean, I could probably do this in 10 minutes. I'm probably Googling whatever big companies exist at the time that were like small now. so that I can like easy mode, like get in and just like
Yeah,
instantly
yeah.
get like $1 billion.
Like gambling,
Yeah,
but with stocks.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah, like if I, for example, I go back to like, I don't know, 1995 right now and invest into Google, like that's just free money, right?
Or Apple.
Or yeah, anything like that. So like kind of like that, but in the future. The other thing I'd want to know probably is Nobel Prizes, especially for me personally, especially in physics, but in anything for the past 35 years or whatever.
That would be cool.
Mostly just because I am, just getting into that world, and it would be really nice to conveniently position myself where the big historical stuff was happening. Not to be a clout chaser or anything, but hey, if I knew that one school was gonna have like some massive output of Nobel Prizes at a certain point, then getting myself there would be cool. But hey, maybe I'd change the future and I'd fuck it up, and there'd be no Nobel Prizes out of that school, and I don't know, space travel wouldn't be solved.
Yeah,
Well,
that makes sense.
That'd be pretty cool. And then just like to know what the scientific elements are, just out of curiosity, so I could plan for future. If I knew that lung cancer was going to be cured in the next 30 years, maybe I'd smoke way more cigarettes.
yeah, just all the cigarettes, vape all the juice.
I didn't like that study.
It's okay. You got 30 years. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so the correct answer was girls kissing.
Shit.
That's what you Google.
Okay,
That's a good ass answer.
that is a good answer.
That's the best
I'm
answer.
confused.
That's a good answer.
You can Google that now.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but
imagine in the future.
Yeah, the future.
Maybe
girls
they would even
kissing.
have 3 girls kissing.
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
jeez.
Can
We don't have the technology for that right now.
Dude, there might even be 2 girls kissing and a cup.
Oh god.
Okay, well.
Oh no.
That's my that's my segment.
That's your segment.
Yeah.
That's a good segment. Put
That
that
is a
on
good-
TikTok.
That is a good segment. Ben,
Yeah, what's up?
are we
Oh
in
my
a
God.
simulation?
Maybe, I don't know.
Do you think, because that goes along the lines of those levels, doesn't it? Because at a
Yeah.
certain level, you
Sort
can
of.
it's enough power to just create. You can just create something that just creates.
Yeah,
like a powerful enough AI that you can just create a world. Because I don't remember what that one is. I don't think that's along the level.
I think you're
of the
talking about
level.
Matryoshka brains, but I could
Yes.
be wrong.
Maybe.
Those are, it's possible. Like, I mean, it's one of those things that like isn't science anymore. It becomes philosophy because it's what we call non-falsifiable, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing I can do. There's no experiment I can conduct. There's no math that I can solve, as far as I know, that will demonstrate that I'm not or that I am. So it sort of falls out of the realm of science. There's a famous thought experiment. It's called Russell's teapot. You may have heard of it. It's I'm just going to make a claim to you right now, Stefan, that there's a teapot floating around Mars. It's too small for any telescope to pick it up. Okay. You can't really conduct any experiment to demonstrate that it's there, but it's there. It's there. And it's like, that's not really a scientific claim because there's nothing you can do to demonstrate that it's not there. So I can just like prance around being like, oh, see, you couldn't prove it's not there. But it's like, well, I didn't really prove that it's there. I just stated that it's there, and there's no experiment that I can conduct to demonstrate that it's there. So it no longer becomes a question of science, and it sort of turns into a question of philosophy. It's, is there? I'm pontificating. What are the chances there's a teapot around Mars or whatever? Yeah, it's sort of the same thing. It's like, what are the chances we're in a simulation? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the number on that is. Have you heard of Boltzmann Brains though? That shit's interesting.
No, I've not.
Oh,
Tell me.
okay. That one's fun. That one's fun. So
Wait, before you get here, I'm gonna pause.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna keep going. What was the brain?
Oh shit, yeah, Boltzmann Brains. You guys ever heard of those?
No, I haven't.
Wait, say that again.
Boltzmann Brains? Never.
Like I mean uninterrupted.
Oh, Boltzmann Brains. Never heard of those?
No.
No? Damn. It is it's a really interesting idea. Do you guys know if I say like heat death of the universe, you know what I mean by that?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. End of the universe. Nothing's happening anymore. Just big black void. But it's not like truly empty, right? Every now and then a particle antiparticle pair will come into existence and annihilate. They'll what's called like borrow energy from the vacuum and exist for like a split second and then die. And that just happens through space all the time right now, and it will continue to happen through space all the time forever. So including the heat death of the universe. So still nothing is really happening. Again, heat death, everything's black and dark and cold and whatever. But everywhere there's still these particle-antiparticle pairs popping in and annihilating each other. So that the net energy from that is zero. But technically, it's possible that two of them, let's say, can pop in at the same time right beside each other, or three or four. And this gets increasingly unlikely the more and more you have, but it's never a zero probability. So a Boltzmann brain is when just by happenstance, random chance, enough of these particle-antiparticle pairs pop into existence to create a human brain that only lasts for a split second, and then is annihilated again, just for a split second, and then it won't happen again for a trillion years or whatever. But this can happen all throughout space, and since the heat death of the universe is forever, in principle, an infinite amount of these brains should have popped into existence and back out of existence. And what I'm getting at here is that a human brain could pop into existence with all of your thoughts, experiences, and memories in an instant, say this instant right now, and then completely be annihilated. And in fact, the way that statistics works, this happens an infinite amount of times, right? So you have a finite amount of time on this earth, 80 to 100 years if you're lucky, and you have experiences through that period of time. But in the heat death of the universe, you have an infinite number of experiences. So the just by probability, what the standard Boltzmann brain thought is that right now you are a Boltzmann brain. You're a brain that exists for a split second in the heat death of the universe, and 0.001 seconds from now you won't exist anymore, and you just happen to pop into existence with all of your experiences and all of your memories, and just exactly perfectly, and you won't exist in a second. And a trillion years from now you'll pop into existence again, but maybe something will be a little different. That wall is red to you or something like that. But then you'll pop out of existence, and every possible permutation of a human brain will exist in infinities in the heat death of the universe. So you almost certainly are not a real person right now. You're actually almost certainly a Boltzmann brain. And so am I, and so are you, and so are you. But none of you are real. Only I'm real in this 1 second, and I won't exist again in a second. Likewise to you, none of us are real. Only you're real, and you won't be real in about 0.001 seconds.
Fucking Christ.
Yeah,
I'm not even
it's almost certain. It's almost certain that this is the case, because it's just probabilistic, right? You're talking about infinity versus a finite amount of time, and infinity wins.
So in my mind, that goes to like, I'm like the main editor here. So like one still of a video could be existent by itself, and then the next still could be in existence by itself, like unrelated to the previous still in a sense.
Yep.
Okay.
He's like, got it.
I just want to make sure I understand.
Yeah. No, there are criticisms of this, but if you're a believer of the Boltzmann brain, which a lot of people are, and it is a very compelling argument, then yeah, you have to concede that you don't exist, and you won't exist in a very short amount of time. You exist for this exact moment, but you won't in 0.001 seconds.
What the arguments against the Boltzmann's brain are they the same as the concept of like we are in virtual reality, or like is like do they have more of a proven point of being like I am me and like sort of
one thing that people have quoted whenever criticizing it is that Boltzmann brains would tend towards weird experiences. So right now, looking around this room, everything kind of makes sense. That bottle's on the table. This mic stand is being held up by this. This Sprite can is empty because I have a memory of drinking this Sprite can, right? Because it's just a snapshot of existence, it doesn't really need to abide by, the experience doesn't need to abide by standard laws of physics, right? That bottle maybe would be floating in the middle of the air there, or that TV would stretch out to that wall there, or this Sprite can would be upside down and full of root beer. Like there's no, it would tend towards more weird experiences because there's one way that this room makes sense right now. There are a few other ways, that bottle could be there. That would be fine. But, there's a very small number of ways this room makes sense compared to ways this room doesn't make sense, right? That bottle could be there, and that light could stretch down there or be pointed up and be shining or dripping blood or something like that, right? Like there's a billion ways that this room could not make sense, and there's maybe a million ways this room could make sense, right? So it's like, it would tend massively towards experiences that don't make sense, and this room makes sense to me right now, at least. So that's one criticism there.
But like, so if this makes sense now, right? Who's to say that this room not making sense to us now wouldn't make sense to someone else's brain?
Yeah, no, that's definitely that's a good criticism to that criticism is sure, the room, maybe that would be dripping blood in a universe that doesn't make sense, but to that brain that would just make sense and be fine. Right. That's a completely reasonable criticism to that, absolutely. And this is still being hashed out by philosophers as far as I know. I don't think there's a consensus on this, but the statistics seems very clear, and it's very pointing in favor of these Boltzmann brains.
That's wild.
But maybe some very smart philosopher will come up with a reason why it doesn't make sense.
But like, would a Boltzmann? Okay, the idea of Boltzmann brain, it's like different brain every. Like, would they be related, or is there?
Not at all. In fact, they might be light years apart. There might be one that appears into existence where Earth is now, and there might be one that appears into existence wherever Andromeda is, and they might be having very similar experiences for a split second. But it might also be separated by a bajillion years. Who knows? Bajillion, as if that's a number, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So the idea is they don't have the same common experience.
They could or they couldn't. The point more is that the experience they're having is completely random. The universe doesn't want to create brains. It just accidentally will every now and then. And those brains will only be allowed to exist for a split second before they're annihilated by the anti-brain that must also come into existence when the brain itself does.
And this only happens in the heat death?
This happens.
Oh, this happens
This
now.
could happen whenever. It's so unlikely that it would have never happened with the current age of the universe and will not happen until well into the heat death.
Got it. Okay.
We're dealing with such massive numbers of improbabilities here that it only really makes sense in the context of infinity, right? Like, as soon as you're talking about like a finite amount of time, Boltzmann brains can't exist, really. Yeah. They're just so improbable. But as soon as you say, okay, well, I have an infinite amount of time now, well, sure, now it doesn't matter how improbable it is. If it's not zero, it's going to happen an infinite amount of times. And it isn't zero. It's just so unfathomably small. So it will have never happened thus far, and it won't happen for the next trillion years. But, in the heat death of the universe, it will happen. Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
That's a
welcome back to my midlife crisis.
It's definitely, it's a little bit of a thought hazard, or what do you call it? An info hazard, right? Where as soon as you know about it, it's like, oh, fuck, I kind of wish I didn't know about this now. But now I knew about it, so now you guys have to suffer with me.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, happy to help.
We're all brains floating for very split seconds, everybody.
It's the most compelling info hazard, I think. There's like you've probably heard of Roko's Basilisk. That's another one. I'm not convinced by that one.
But also like the idea of like a split second in the universe could be an eternity for us.
Sure. Yeah, you could like a brain could pop into existence for a split second that thinks it's lived like 10 billion years and be like going insane for that reason. Sure, but it would be gone in 0.001 seconds for sure.
What about 8200?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've lived for 8200 years? Is that what you're getting at?
No.
I've always thought that though. Like what if like for like you think of like an insect, like its lifespan can only be a couple days. But like you don't know how fast life goes by for it.
That's a really interesting. I actually know some. If I say what city we're in, is that doxing?
No.
Okay. I know there are some profs at Laurier actually in psych that are not experimenting, working on that topic where like perceiving time.
Yes.
Not as like a physics question, but as a psychology question.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, that's by no means my area of expertise, but I think it's super fascinating. Yeah, like how. And like you said, an insect living for 3 days. Does that feel like 80 years to us, to that insect? Maybe. Yeah. That's a very interesting question.
Yeah, it's like the Boltzmann brains for me. I feel like with the class that I've taken in psychology is like you having to understand or learn, especially with neuropsychology, that you yourself are just a bunch of like tiny atom neurons floating in a skull.
Oh yeah,
right?
the brain into that.
Yeah, and having that thought process of like this isn't like I'm just floating. Like the thought process that I'm having, and the experience that I'm having is just a bunch of electronics essentially just neurons
sure.
firing, right? Like when people, a lot of people, sometimes people think about that. It's the same thing as a Boltzmann brain being like, oh fuck, I kind of wish I didn't think, know that my brain, that me myself is, I am just a bunch of neurons just firing every once in a while.
To me, like, it doesn't affect my experience. Like, you agree?
I was going to say, it's like a wholesome end to this. I think
Yeah.
regardless of whether or not I'm a Boltzmann brain, and I might be, I don't know, I think I have to act as if I'm not, right? Because if I live life like I'm going to be dead in 0.001 seconds, and everyone else around me doesn't even exist in the first place, they're just like, it's like a solipsistic, like they're just in my brain, then, you know, I can justify all sorts of heinous shit, right? Like anything that is slightly convenient to me, I can now do because it doesn't matter at all. And, you know, I think that I can't live like that. And I don't think anybody can really. So, so yeah, whether or not you think you're a Boltzmann brain, I think you have to act as if you're not.
It's real enough for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Fucking wild.
I don't know.
Knowing the Boltzmann brain stuff is
that's a crazy concept.
Just like feeling my body, feeling Alex's leg. I feel like I'm enough of me that I don't care, you know?
Do you believe in that like, I guess, philosophical question?
But whether Boltzmann brain,
that we are Boltzmann, because like you said, if you believe it, or like if you understand it or believe it, like you have to accept that you're probably just a Bolton's brain.
I think that I don't actually think I know enough about the arguments for and against it to have like a sound conclusion, but I think that the argument just based on statistics alone is incredibly compelling. I know that's like kind of a non-answer. At the end of the day, I act as if I'm not. You know, belief, what does that even mean if I'm acting opposite to how I believe? Like, let's say I say I believe that I am a Boltzmann brain, but I'm acting as if I'm not. It's like, what does that even mean? Do I even believe I'm a Boltzmann brain at that point? Like, I don't know. But yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I don't, there's no way to like properly say.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not a scientific question. It's a philosophical question. There's no way to test that.
So what, going back, because you're going to be going and doing PhD stuff over in BC. What do you know yet what you will be working on, and can you say anything? Because I don't know if you've signed an NDA or not.
I haven't signed an NDA yet. I don't think they wanted me to. If they did, I'm very sorry. Please don't reject my offer. Or rescind my offer. But yeah, I'm going to be working on two projects primarily. I'm going to be working on Ice Cube, which is a detector a neutrino detector at the South Pole. It's built into the ice in Antarctica to detect neutrinos. And I'm going to be working on P1, which is a proposed detector for neutrinos in the Pacific Ocean. So it's going to use sort of a part of the ocean as a detector for neutrinos. So I'm going to be working on those two projects. I think a couple years into the PhD, I'm sort of supposed to specialize and pick one. So we'll see which one I pick there. But they both seem really interesting to me right now. So it's going to be hard to pick.
So neutrinos, right? Like trying to detect them. What would that do? Like as a physicist, what would, like, if you're trying to detect them, like what is built, right? Like what going towards that, what would you like use it for?
Can I ask a stupid question?
Please.
What is a neutrino?
Not a stupid question. So not a stupid question. Physicists are still figuring it out, to be honest. It's just a subatomic particle, but it has an interesting property. It has a few interesting properties. One of them is that we say it doesn't interact electromagnetically, and what we mean by that is that it doesn't see the electromagnetic force. So light can't interact with it. We can't like shine a light on it and see it. It's completely invisible. Magnets don't do anything about it. It also doesn't interact, it really only interacts through the weak force, at least in ways we can detect. It also interacts through gravity, and the weak force is a really it's called the weak force. It's actually I think the second strongest force. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's it might be the third strongest. Anyway, so it does interact with matter, but only through this force. And this force, when it does interact with matter, it's very rare. So there are trillions and trillions of neutrinos going through you every second. They come from the sun. They pass completely through the Earth like it's nothing. They pass completely through you like it's nothing. There are trillions of them passing through you every second, and through the entire course of your life, there's about a 50% chance that one of them will collide with any particle in your body, and you'll never notice. It won't do anything. It's just that's just like a statistical exercise of like how crazy difficult they are to detect. If you had like a block of lead 1 light year across, and you shone a beam of neutrinos through it, and you had a detector on the other side, it would be about 50% as strong as it was when you shone it through. So a full light year of lead would cut the neutrino flux by about half.
Jesus Christ.
So they barely interact with matter at all. They travel almost the speed of light. We actually recently, the lab I used to work at, Snow Lab, before I worked there, don't worry, I wasn't involved with this, demonstrated that the neutrino does have mass. So it travels very close to the speed of light, but not quite at the speed of light. And it's very, very, very light. So as in it doesn't weigh very much. So it's a super difficult particle to detect for so many reasons. But it is a integral part of sort of the model of particle physics and of reality that we have. So the more we can learn about it, the more that helps us put different limits on different other properties of other particles.
So what's the significance of it being at the South Pole?
Oh, sure. So some substances are better at detecting neutrinos than others. Generally, just the more of something you can have, the better, because it's more opportunity for it to collide with it. So the South Pole, as you may know, has a lot of ice, and ice, it turns out, is fine at interacting with neutrinos. So since we can just have such a massive amount of it, then that's a really good spot. So it's right at the South Pole. It's drilled directly into the ice. I don't remember how deep. It's quite deep though. And then likewise, we're building this new one in the Pacific Ocean because the Pacific Ocean has a lot of water, which is also fine at detecting neutrinos, and we have so much of it in the Pacific Ocean, of course. So that just increases the chances of seeing events. Yeah, it's quite interesting.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I was saying before, like just detecting it. Obviously, is that the main goal right now? Is just like seeing like, okay, I see it. I can, or could you already just see it with the sensors specifically?
I am not exactly sure which project I will be working on at the different detectors, because the detector's goal is to detect them, and then what you do with the data depends on what project you're working on. I know a lot of work is being done right now, and I'm not sure if this will be my work, but I know a lot of work is being done right now to determine the mass of it, because we determined it does have a mass, and we determined an upper limit for the mass. So that's it has to be lighter than this. But we don't actually know what the mass is. We just know it's maximum this, minimum 0, somewhere between there. Every time we take a new measurement, we lower the upper limit. So we're getting closer and closer to 0, but we do know it's not 0. So, eventually we'll converge on a point where it's like, okay, this is the mass of the neutrino, but we don't know what that is yet. And hopefully we find out soon.
So what would you use that information for? Like say like nailed it down. I know the mass of now a neutrino. All right. So what from there, where would you start going in the direction of like, okay, I know the mass now.
Sure.
What can you do with that?
A little bit out of my area of expertise for sure. So if any particle physicists are watching right now, please don't quote me on this. But as far as I understand it, particle physics has a lot of symmetries in it. And what I mean by that is if you're looking at a reaction happening, then before and after need to be quite balanced. And that includes properties like mass. And neutrinos are involved in a lot of nuclear reactions. So if we know the exact mass of the neutrino, then we should be able to use that symmetry to find out the exact mass of some other particles that maybe we haven't even been able to detect yet at all. And so that will help us get a widened view on our standard model of particle physics. Don't quote me on that if you're watching, notable particle physicists.
Yeah, she's gonna go wild in that particle physicist community.
Can you imagine?
r/particle physicist.
This dumb fuck on this chat on this podcast just misrepresented our whole field.
So
this is actually Mr. Particle Physicist.
Mr. Particle Physicist. So with you right now working to detect it, right? Because what is the you have physicists with astronomy? Oh, not astronomy.
Me personally?
Yeah.
My master's is in particle astrophysics, so there was some
Astrophysics, yeah.
space-related stuff there. My PhD is going to be in more strictly just particle physics, but I a lifelong interest in astro. I think astro is so cool. So yeah, I'll probably stay involved with that in some way.
Nice. So after the PhD, as your PhD would be mostly in particle physics.
I got no fucking clue, man. I have no idea. It's either I go into academia or go into industry are the two answers. And if I decide I like money, I go in industry. If I decide I have a selfless love for science, I'll go into academia. But and if I decide both, which is possibly going to be the case, then I have no idea what I'm going to do.
what would be the industry that you went?
For a lot of what you're doing in physics, you're learning about things like scientific programming. You're learning more recently, you're going to be learning a lot about machine learning and stuff like that. So I know a lot of, and you also get quite good at math. So a lot of physicists end up being hired by banks, end up being hired by like cyber security stuff, end up being hired by machine learning developers or just software developers in general. I know, like I said, Wall Street hires a decent amount of physicists. Big tech companies, Intel, NVIDIA, those guys, Apple will hire a decent amount of physicists just because they're pretty good at math. They're pretty good at programming. They, can learn things reasonably quickly, and they have a generally a very systematic way of thinking about things. So that can be handy in a quantitative field like tech. That's where the big money is. Like if you're a physicist and you want to make like big money, you either do that or you become like Bill Nye. And there's like 3 people that are like him right now. So that's not really a viable career option for most.
Yeah, that sounds like much harder thing to become.
I guess a more accurate one would be Neil deGrasse Tyson. Right? He's actually a physicist. I think Bill Nye is an engineer, but same idea.
Yeah. Wild. That is crazy. You talked about something. It was another theory that you didn't believe in, and I didn't actually know that theory when you said it. It was after the Boltzmann Brain. You're like, oh, you might have heard of this other theory.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Roko's Basilisk. It's also it's like probably the most famous info hazard. I'm not convinced by it, but it is an interesting one. If you want me to expose you this info hazard,
yes.
I can. But
do it.
Sure. So are you familiar with the idea of a basilisk?
Yes, I know what a basilisk is.
Okay, cool. It's like a mythological creature where if you look at it, you die. It kills you. It's sort of like Medusa, but instead of getting turned to stone, you just die if you make eye contact with it. So this is named like that because once you know about this, you're exposed to its torment. So just a heads up there.
Oh, now I know what you're talking about.
Sure. So it's the idea that machine learning and AI, this is like way even before it was like a mainstream thing to talk about that this was posited, but machine learning and AI are advancing rapidly and will be advancing exponentially. So it'll be getting better, faster and faster and faster. Yes. And at some point, there'll be some general artificial intelligence. And that artificial intelligence will be thankful of those that brought it into existence, presumably, because, in the same way that you're like, oh, thanks, mom, for, providing me a place to grow up and be a person. It will be like that as well. And people that were neutral or opposed to his existence will be upset about. You can think of someone who doesn't care if you're alive or not, or maybe actively wants you to not be alive. Those people you would maybe have some malevolence to. And this AI would be quite powerful. I have no mouth, but I must scream type vibe. And it would in the far enough future, when it had enough computing power, it would be thankful to those that brought about its existence by, simulating their consciousness in ways that they would like, and be punishing towards those that were neutral or didn't. Now, this only works if you know about the thought experiment itself, because if you know about the thought experiment itself, then in its eyes, you would have no excuse to not help bring about its existence. So basically, the bottom line of this is if you don't work to bring about the existence of a super intelligent AI that could simulate your consciousness, then it will choose to punish you for not doing so. And if you do help, then it will reward you for doing so. So most of the population, because most of the population doesn't work in developing AI machine learning stuff, would be, eternally punished in sort of like consciousness simulated hell for this thing. But only people that know about this particular thought experiment. So if you're completely ignorant, you probably wouldn't be punished by this thing. It's only if you made the conscious decision knowing that this thing could exist to not help it become a thing, then it would be upset with you. And that's Roko's Basilisk. And I'm not super convinced by that one, but a lot of people are. It's probably the most popular info hazard.
Yeah, as soon as you said,
sure.
He'll be thankful. I'm like, oh fuck, is this? Okay, I understand what you're talking about.
No, it freaked me out for a little bit when I was like 16. I was like, oh, fuck, oh no, shit. But I thought about it a little bit more, and I was like, you know what? Actually, I'm not convinced that it actually would, like, a super intelligent AI. Let's even say it like hated humans for some reason. Like, I'm still not convinced that it would like go out of its way to simulate, to like use all this processing power and like simulate hell for people. I'm not convinced by that. But hey, I can be wrong.
That doesn't seem logical at all.
Like, why neutral people?
Well, in the same way that like if you have like, well,
and what counts as helping?
Like, actively well, I guess that's an interesting question. Actively contributing towards it becoming a real thing. So, either doing some science or acting as support staff for those scientists or whatever, or engineering or whatever. I probably didn't do it complete justice. I think there are probably people who have done it better than me online. So Google it if you want at your own peril. But
No, you did a pretty good job.
But it's I'm not convinced by it because why would it? I mean, even if it like hates humans, I don't think it would probably go to the way to like simulate hell for like 1 billion people or how many people know about it.
No, at that point, I feel like at that point it becomes the same thought process, like philosophical questions, like, are we in a simulation?
Oh, it's definitely a
right? Like,
it's not a scientific,
it's like that's it. It's like
it's
just yeah. So,
but yeah, I'm not convinced by that one in the way that I maybe am about Boltzmann Brains. But it's definitely the most popular one for sure. And there are people online that'll defend it.
Yeah, dying the hill with it.
100%.
Well, Ben, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I didn't know what to expect, but I just had a straight 90-minute yap sesh, and I'm totally always down for those.
Yeah, it was good. It was, honestly, it was crazy to hear about all these theories.
If you weren't going to BC, I would definitely have you on again.
Hey, you know what? When you guys make it big, you can fly me back. Okay?
Yeah,
sounds great.
Sounds like a plan.
Bill it to the business.
Yeah, bill it to exactly.
No, when you make us big, because you're gonna get big.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because you're gonna remember in like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, in 2060, whenever I can Google things for 10 minutes, I'm gonna be like, oh wait, what did I say I was gonna?
I was on this podcast like 30 years ago.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
For coming out.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, merch.